Going to tell you about location tracking and all the different things that I didn't mention in the video. How are you doing, my friends? So many of you are here already. My goodness, it's amazing. There's Magic Rat, Cosmic Rose, Don't Poke the Bear, Mysticulous, Dieter, Haas, Her Minigild, Hal 9000, Keith. Hello, Keith. Hello, my friends. So, Great Gold. So, the topic tonight is about some of the stuff that I talked about in the video and kind of like extending that discussion a little bit more to what I didn't discuss in the video. And there's a feeling of hopelessness, and I know that people actually watched the video and said, oh my gosh, there's no stopping this. At the moment, there's a way to stop most of it, and I'll tell you what some of them are, and maybe I'll summarize it in a short video. But there's still a way to stop it right now, but it's getting hard, and there's things that are hard to do. And it's partly because we accept it. It's all those people installing Ring in their homes, all of those that are sticking to using, Android and Google phones without any realization that perhaps it's not good, not just for them, but for others around them. This is the part we're not getting. That a lot of the problems with the privacy issue is not just your phone, but of the phones around you. And I give an example in the video about Disneyland. If you're in Disneyland and somebody takes a photo and you're in the background, then somebody else knows, Facebook knows, that you're at Disneyland, even though you didn't take a photo, you didn't even post it on Facebook, and somebody already knows because you're facially recognized in the background. It's pretty crazy because Facebook is able to recognize even a small face in the background. So it is a very crazy situation here. Hello, Michael Golpe, JJ. So, yeah, there's a raccoon on my desk here. Furry animals, that's your mic cover. Somebody was complaining, oh, you have all that, like breathing sounds on the microphone, so too many complaints, so I got to deal with that. Anyway, the format of our discussion is that I talk about the topic for 30 minutes or so, or less, and then we go into a free-for-all Q&A, and you can ask me anything. The purpose of a live stream is not necessarily for me to gain subscribers, which I don't. I actually lose subscribers every time I do a live stream. But it's really important for me to get a sense of what you guys are thinking and what you're feeling. And the Q&A part is actually very, very important. So it makes me aware of my direction, make sure that, I kind of direct the channel to what you guys are thinking about. So that's very, very important to me. So it's one of the things that many creators don't really appreciate is the fact that the feedback that I get from every one of you is very helpful for me to control what I put in my channel and make sure that I direct it the right way. And yes, I'm going to lose followers, subscribers, as I always do when I do a broadcast, but it's not really a big deal. So anyway, I'll talk for a little bit, and then it's going to be the Q&A. And if you're watching this and you say, well, this is not following the usual format of the 20-minute video, it does not. It's kind of similar because there's a half hour where I talk about the topic, and it's kind of free for all. So somebody says, oh, you're doing a this because it's a live stream. I don't have a script. I just talk extemporaneously, so everything is free for all. I don't have any plans of what I'm going to say, and so that's the way that I've done it for 7 years. Hello, Top Feed Coco. Hello, Annabelle. Is that a head in front of Rob? It's called a dead cat. This is a dead cat. So I have a dead cat. How can I get 5 phones from you like ASAP? Go to the store, buy 5 phones. Does verified bootloader makes any difference in custom OS please reply, no, not for what I do. No. Some people will say that's important, but no, not for privacy. For cybersecurity, you might think that's important. You are not here. Old man is not here. So anyway, one of the things the big things that I missed in my broadcast, which was kind of sad that I actually forgot one of the most important topics, was when I talked about location tracking, I did not mention RFID. Mamagoo! Some people from Periscope here from the old days. So RFID, I didn't mention that. It was kind of crazy that I missed that, something so important. Did you know that there's an RFID in your tires? In your tires. So if I put an RFID sensor out on the street, I could actually tell if a car has been by before just by checking the RFID of the zucking tires. Did you know that? So a lot of you have the real ID driver's license from your state. When I was offered to do real ID driver's license from my state, my response to that was, Zuck, you know. And somebody will say, well, that means you can't fly because TSA requires that you have real ID. And my response to that is, if I'm going to fly, I'm going to bring a passport. And yes, that's kind of worse, but the driver's license is on you every day, not just when you travel on an airplane, every day. That means that somebody can track the RFID signal of your real ID. And the way they do it is actually they supposedly don't put the identifiers on the real ID, which is surprising. I thought they would. But the real ID just has an index, and then they have to look it up into the state database to see who that is with that particular ID on the real ID. So, okay, so that's a little bit better, but it still doesn't make any difference, because what is the difference between a MAC address on your phone and the RFID signal for your real ID? So if you enter a building and somebody's doing an RFID search and your RFID reveals the same real ID, then they've tracked you, and they can then say, oh, you've been here 5 times this week. You've been here, before, like a month ago. And then they can track you, in theory, around the building even with RFID. So that I'm going to make a video about RFID. Not true, you can use a passport. Exactly, you can use a passport. But a lot of you are saying you can't fly without without real ID, and I've been delaying. I've been hoping for delays in real ID, and sure enough, it finally came due, and I got notification that they were offering me a real ID, and my response was, "Zuck you, mother zuckers! I am not." But the range is smaller. That's one thing you don't understand about how RFID works. Somebody actually argued with me once about RFID and said, "Oh, it's only short range. It can only work within a few inches." Wrong. Okay. First of all, the way RFID works, it's reflective. It's a reflective signal. So you push RF onto the RFID. The RF is enough to power the RFID. It actually reflects the signal. So the stronger the reflection of the signal, then the more it broadcasts. So the only reason they say that it's not strong enough is because the commercial readers that they sell only works within a few inches. Well, that is true, but that is, I believe that's the RFID. See, I forget the model, because there's kind of like different models. The old one, the A version, only was limited to short range unless it was an active RFID, in which case it went up to, I remember right, like 200 feet. But the new ones, the ones in the real ID, are the longer range ones. And the way they work is if you cross a border, let's say you go to the Canadian border, they can actually, do a massive amount of RF on you, and then your RFID in your wallet will actually reveal who you are just from crossing the border. And they intentionally do that. This is a newer model of the RFID, and I forget the term now because I haven't really researched it in a while. But back then, there was like a model B or Model 2, and it has longer range. I believe it's like close to 200 feet or so, or like 100 meters. And the other thing that people don't actually realize, and again, I'm going to do a video on RFID because it's something that most people don't realize, is that you can actually spy on somebody with RFIDs. Let's just give you a scenario. Let's say I mail you a letter. I mean, this is the crazy stuff. Let's say I mail you a letter, and the letter has RFID in it. And I know it's going to get to you because I'm out in the street watching, and the post office delivery person delivered, and you actually got the RFID in because it could be hidden inside a piece of paper. It's very tiny. It could be concealed in a piece of paper, which they do. That's actually how they put RFIDs. Normally they're in pieces of paper. And if they actually sent you like junk mail and it had RFID on it, they can actually send you a signal from, let's say, outside of your house, and they can actually listen to your conversations. Now, you're going to say, that's not true. That's not true. They can't do that. Actually, this is a 3-letter agency technique. And somebody at DEF CON actually proved that you can do this. But this guy took a commercial RFID reader that's directional, and he just took that. It's like a toy gun with RFID capability that can actually send RF. And then he had a detector that can sense a signal back. And it was a focused beam. Because it was focused beam, it could go a very far range, and actually tested it on DEF CON. So that's actually doable. So the 3-letter agencies could. This is something I've always worried about. And some of you will say, "Oh, you're such a conspiracy theorist." But let me just tell you something. RFID is so small that not a nanobot small. Somebody said, "Oh, I got injected. It has RFID." Come on, be serious. No, it's not that small, but small enough to be the size of an insect. Okay, so forget the being injected with RFID. That's kind of BS. Okay, that's not within the range of reality here. Okay, because you can easily test it. If you actually feel you have an RFID, if you actually believe you have an RFID in your arm because you got injected with a vaccine, go get yourself an RFID reader. They're cheap, They're under $50, maybe $20. Get a reader and then put it in here and see if you detect anything. Come on. It's very, very short range. Your arm's right here. You can see if there's an RFID on there. I don't think you'll find one. But RFID does work from a distance, because what happens was, if you pump enough power to an RFID, it's illegal to FCC rules, by the way. But if somebody's hacking you or doing something bad, or it's a 3-letter agency, they don't need to care about FCC rules. They're exempt from that. So they could actually pump a lot of RF in a focused beam into the RFID like an insect. So just think about this. You can actually find, and this is not something that I just made up here, you can actually find, go Google the internet, and they have insect-sized. That's how crazy the technology is. They can actually listen into you. Now, there's other techniques. You can do a laser. You can put a laser on the window, get the vibrations off the window. If you have a glass window, they can do that. But this is actually doable. What I'm talking about. They actually prove that you can actually send a signal to the RFID remotely. If you have enough power, like, a 3-letter agency is watching you from a car, they could do that. So I know it's like most of us don't really have to care about 3-letter agencies, and neither do I. I mean, it's not my main threat. I get irritated, though. I have to tell you, I'm a pretty upstanding citizen. I pay my taxes. So somebody says, we're going to track this guy. He's probably evading his taxes. No, I pay my taxes. And I haven't done my tax return yet, but I paid in advance. I haven't done my tax return. I have to be honest with you. But I paid in advance. Like, I said, okay, I just estimated my taxes and paid in advance because I'm like that. I unfortunately for McAfee, I don't follow, although, I like John McAfee, I don't follow his lead by not paying taxes because, I'm an upstanding citizen. I do follow the law. I don't like some of the stuff that I follow. I don't like being tracked. I don't like being recorded. I don't like my location being recorded because I know that I'm not doing anything wrong. So therefore, why should we be subject to surveillance? And some people say, well, I have nothing to hide. Yeah, exactly. So what? Whether I have something to hide or not, what right do you have to track me? And some of you say, well, I don't care. I mean, I'm not committing a crime. It doesn't. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Zocked up. So it's not YouTube. It's Spectrum. Spectrum service has been really, really bad lately. I've been getting disconnected so many times a day. I didn't even know if I could do a broadcast. So it's really bothersome. So sorry about that. We may expect a few more of this, but it does come back. It does come back. Just be patient. It'll come back. But it's really been disturbing that I got to keep an eye on the video and see if the video drops. And then, sometimes I'm not noticing it and I'm looking down and I see the video is frozen. So where was I? Now I don't know where I got cut off. So I was talking about the fact that, I'm an upstanding citizen. I do what I'm supposed to do. I follow the law. I pay my taxes. And I don't deserve to be surveilled. And I don't really care about all the excuses about why I ought to be surveilled because it's to catch terrorists. That's bullshit. Bullshit. So, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. So that doesn't give them a right to track me and track everyone else. And so today, just to show you about the location tracking thing, beyond just RFID. So, I had dinner and I'm driving through the streets of LA and I know exactly what those zucking cameras are. And I have to run and avoid. I have to go zigzag. I have to go drive a zigzag course just to avoid the zucking cameras. Because what right do they have to record every move I make? And some of you will say, oh, come on, they're not doing that. Trust me. The tickets, if you get ticketed, it's facially recognized. Facially recognized tickets in LA or surrounding cities. They actually facially recognize you and then they give you a ticket based on not who owns the car. They're not getting it from the license plate. They're getting it from the driver. Okay? So somebody used my car and then made a turn that the computer or the facial recognition or the camera system thought was illegal and basically gave a ticket to the driver, but not to me, the owner of the vehicle. I didn't get nothing. Nothing. There was no notice to me. The notice was just to the driver. With photos. The ticket actually came with photos and it says, if you dispute the fact that this is you, you need to go to court. Otherwise, pay the ticket. And some of you, my friend from the UK, Simon Pickup from the UK. I guess he's not here right now, but he used to work in a company that actually sold those systems with the traffic light systems, like traffic light cameras. And he was not aware that they had this technology that's being used here in California today, where they actually take a facial recognition photo of you and use that for giving tickets. And they actually have faith in it, enough faith in it that they actually give you tickets based on that. And guys, that's why somebody was telling me, somebody made a comment in my video, oh, you're wearing a mask. It was my facial recognition video. Oh, you're wearing a mask. I'm not going to follow you anymore because I'm, anti-mask. It's like, fuck. If I were you, I'd be pro-mask, and not because of COVID. Be pro-mask. Forget about COVID. Use it as an excuse. It's not about COVID. So if I have an excuse to wear a mask, even in the car, and nobody will argue because, oh, he's just being over zealous with protecting himself, and so he's wearing a mask. I'm okay with that excuse. I'm okay with that excuse because with the street cameras in LA, it's really, really bad here. I mean, guys, getting tickets with a driver's license photo, I mean, that is just such an invasion of privacy. For example, if you cross the Golden Gate Bridge, they take a photo of you, and they don't ask for money anymore at the Golden Gate Bridge. And I don't live in San Francisco, but when I was last there, they don't give you. There's no toll box anymore. They just mail you a bill. And if you don't pay, they got your photo with facial recognition. This is California, guys. California. It's like, oh, wow, this is so cool. We're so high tech here. All these tech companies in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, all this high tech. This is perfect. We need to do this. Forget no mask. I'm going for no tolls. Mail you the bill. Yes. So, yes, they take a picture of your license plate. So they actually, when it comes to tolls, they bill the car owner. But when it comes to a driving violation, a moving violation, they have to capture the driver. So, California used to be a red state? You mean back during Reagan's time? That's a long time ago now. Yep. Patent trolls are real. Yep, but what does that have to do with anything? It will collapse under the weight of incompetencies sooner or later. So anyway, we accept this. And unfortunately, location tracking and a lot of this really has to do with acceptance. We accept it and we say, oh, we're not going to challenge it. It's going to be okay. We don't need to care because it somehow does good for the public. For example, Ring cameras. I mean, this is so disgusting what Ring cameras do. So Ring cameras basically send all of your videos to a centralized server. And people are saying, wow, this is good. I have a cheap camera. I can put it out there. Battery operated, no wires. I can put it outside my door. And it'll be my doorbell. I can have an app. I can see it was out there. And it's like, oh, cool. You're sending your videos to Amazon. So cool. Your Amazon Echo is tracking every device out there. We don't even know what it can do because we don't have the source code for that. But it is capable of tracking now 900 megahertz. It may be capable, I don't know if it has a 433 megahertz chip, which is an even longer range. It didn't say that. But there are two devices that can be tracked with, like radio transmitter devices. And one is the 433 megahertz range and the 900 megahertz range. 900 megahertz already reaches half a mile. So if you get so somebody said, oh, I'm not going to get one. That's not the problem. If your neighbor has one, it can sense any device that's sending out a signal in that range. So if somebody says, I'm going to do Bluetooth, and somebody said to me, Bluetooth is short range. Incorrect. It used to be short range. They made a zucking change. They actually, I don't exactly know the hardware here, but how did they go from sensing from short range, like 10 feet, to now sensing 200 feet? How did that happen? Well, I think the reason is it's just software limited. I think Bluetooth was limited by, the range was limited by software, not by hardware. So they just shifted that. They said, we're going to do contact tracing. We're going to shift the Bluetooth, and in order to track Apple AirTags and tile trackers, we're gonna shift the power of the Bluetooth to full power instead of sending it 10% power. So instead of a low power Bluetooth, now you have a high power Bluetooth. So they probably shifted it with software. You know, you can do that with Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is the same. I don't know if you know this, but your Wi-Fi power can also be controlled by software. And I know this because in a Raspberry Pi, you can actually switch the power of a Wi-Fi router. So I no, they changed it without changing hardware. So then it has to be software. The device, the spec says they can now sense Bluetooth within half a mile, and it's like, how did you do that? Well, obviously, certain signals can be sent in high power, like when it's doing tracking of tile trackers. So selectively, you can say, okay, we're going to do a headphone headset, which is low power, and then we're going to do contact tracing, which is high power. There's some stuff they can do, because I know they can do that on Wi-Fi. I don't have the specs of Bluetooth to actually figure that out. What is a Raspberry Pi? Raspberry Pi is a PI, not PIE, is one of the smallest, cheapest computers. It's a $35 computer, which is what I use as a base for my router. It's a $35 computer. Giving to my local store and buying me a nice burqa, no one will dare hassle me in this sad day and age. True. A small, low-power computer. So anyway, we are the problem. You can blame Amazon. You can blame Apple, Google. The problem is every one of you, all of us, who go in there and, for example, I talked to you about the mesh network. So it's not even a problem of you being the cause. Okay, that recovered fairly quickly. Sorry about that. It happens often, every day for me. So I don't know. The spectrum signal keeps dropping like many, many times an hour. So, but I know the technique now to reconnect. I don't know why it's doing that. Don't know why it's doing that. Raspberry Pi is low-powered computer. For what do you use them for? I use them for the routers. So I sell Brax router, and routers are built on the Raspberry Pi, which is running Linux. So I'm able to customize the Raspberry Pi, which is a common device, and turn it into a router. And then if you don't want to use it as a router anymore, you still have a Raspberry Pi, and you can use it as a computer running Linux. So yeah, so that's why I like using the Raspberry Pi as my baseline. And you actually never lose out, because even if you didn't want to use my router anymore, you still have a Raspberry Pi computer that you can use for any other purpose. So anyway, before I go on, and I'll go into a Q&A session here in a second, I want to talk to you about my sponsor, which is Linode. So Linode is currently the only company that I'm allowing as a sponsor. I don't actually take, if you notice, I am not a channel that accepts a lot of sponsorships. I don't need them. It's to be honest with you, I need to really support the company that does it. I can't tell you how many companies come to me and ask for sponsorship, including PIA, NordVPN, on and on and on, all these companies. And, no, we don't need that. But Linode is actually a company that I actually use. I use it for my server. So if you need to run a web server, you want to have a domain, run a web server, you can run a server on Linode for as little as $5 a month. and it's such a good company with good customer service, and they've really made it so that the pricing is so clear and there's really no hidden secrets. Chances are, if they say it's going to be $5 a month, it's actually going to be $5 a month, because they are so lenient with the bandwidth, and everything is so lenient. And you can actually play with Linux. If you want to go try Linux, you can run a server, kill it, start again, and it's just still $5 a month on average if you do every hour, but it's per hour. So if you run it only half time, then let's say you fire up a server, you stop it, you may not even reach $5 a month. But my servers are bigger, so I spend more than $5 a month. But it's such a good company, and it's pretty much the only one I would recommend for cloud services. So if you want to run the Nextcloud to keep your data on there, so that you don't have to go to Google Cloud, use Linode. And if you use my code Rob Braxman, they're actually going to give you a $100 credit to your bill, so that you can use that for 2 months and get free service for 2 months. So you're probably not going to spend $100 if you just run one server. So you're going to run several big servers, and then you can learn Linux a couple of months, and it'll be completely free running Linode. So I recommend this company highly. I'm, of course, a big user of Linode myself. I have a lot of servers on Linode, and it's highly dropped again. So there you go. So yeah, so I know how to make the drop brief though. So if just stay put, it'll come back. It doesn't take long for me to, just a few seconds, and I can get it back, get it going again. It must be like a very inconsistent signal, and it's it'll drop for a couple seconds, and that's enough to screw up the works here. So sorry about that. What's a good open source NGF endpoint security software to install on Linux? What the heck? That you're like talking corporate stuff that is really not applicable to the bulk of the population here. So I don't do any of that. So a end user, a home user, does not need a firewall system like Checkpoint or Sonic Wall or any of that. It just doesn't apply. So, what country am I from? I'm from the United States of America. Originally, I was from the Philippines. Stack up to like 30 seconds here. Okay, I'm trying to keep the drops to 30 seconds, because when it drops, then I can recover usually within 30 seconds. But it's hard here, because I got to be looking at the screen to see if it does that. We're having geomagnetic storm that are interrupting servers. No, my problem is specifically something to do with Spectrum. Does the node offer pre-configured LAMP stack config? Yes, I believe they do. Yes, I believe they do. They call it apps, and you can even pre-install things like running your own Jitsi server and so on. They can actually pre-configure that. So they actually have pre-installed versions of Linux with whatever app you want to use. If you want to do a website, for example, that's already pre-configured. That's why it's easy. Keep the drops to 30 seconds. That's one of your router special features. I'm using my router, but it really has nothing to do with my router. It has to do with Spectrum. Didn't hear what was said during the cutout. I repeated everything anyway. How about your opinion about pfSense for home network? I don't use pfSense. I use my own router. You can use pfSense if you're not use pfSense. It's similar, so it's the same thing. My router has some special features. For example, it does Tor. It has a Tor option. It can also do Pi-hole. So it's connected to Pi-hole. So it does the ad blocking using Pi-hole, which is built into the network. So once you use it, it automatically uses Pi-hole. on my server though, not your server. So, and the way that the VPN is set up on a Brax router, it's automatic. So even if there's a profile change or anything that happens, it's done automatically. Even the software will update itself. So there's just a lot of advantages and ease compared to using, let's say, pfSense or DDWRT. There's a lot more work to doing that. So, I mean, you can use those. Those are fine. If you're high-tech enough to do all that, then there's nothing wrong with them. You don't have to buy my stuff. Some people say that I'm just here to sell you stuff. No, I'm here to come up with a solution to help you. If there's a solution that works alternatively and you're high-tech, you can use those. I don't have a problem with that. I use DDWRT. I don't anymore because basically DDWRT is the same exact thing that I'm doing. It's just Linux doing routing, which is exactly what I do. Linux doing routing, I just have a simpler interface and it's just more direct to the point. And I'm going to change the router to add some more firewall features. Most cases we don't need a firewall, but it will be a nice little trick for people who want to get more sophisticated. I'm going to add some firewall stuff. You can do on command line, of course, because the firewall is built into it, but I'm going to give you the interface so you can control it if you're not that technical. Are there rumors of getting unhidden en masse? Are they true? I do not believe that. Do not believe because of understanding how it works. Thank you so much. You are an excellent human. Thank you, R. Heath. That's very kind of you. Humans entertained and kept occupied by deep fakes. It's coming. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That is coming. Linux is a Manny Pacquiao. Windows Vista equals Errol Spence. Okay. What about the mRNA? What about the mRNA? Don't tell me that mRNA has RFID in it. Okay? Just, makes sense. The technology is not such that you can, you can have enough surface area, because an RFID has to be reflective, so it actually has to have some surface on it. So there's an antenna in an RFID. RFID isn't just a chip. There's a guy, maybe I'll make it part of my video, but there's a guy on YouTube that made his own iPhone from China. He was in China, he was in Shenzhen. And he actually built an iPhone from parts. And one of the things he did afterwards, when he got kicked out of China, he went to an RFID factory. And, an RFID, the way it's built, it has actually an antenna portion to it. So you're going to say, oh, yeah, they injected me with RFID. I'm going to say, come on. Don't do this conspiracy stuff. Makes sense. It's got to, I'm a tech guy. I don't come here and do conspiracy theories. It's got to be, it has to be real. RFID does come in two flavors, active and passive. That's true. But there's also two models. There's a shorter range one, which is the older model, and a newer range one, which actually handles a range that's larger, like 200 feet or more. So, and that may be antenna related. I don't know exactly what the difference is, but an RFID has to have an antenna. It has to reflect back the RF. The Patriot Act was unpatriotic. That's correct. How crazy is it to avoid being located? You can avoid being located. In fact, it's if the video does well, then I'll spend the time to actually explain. But one of the important things to me that is important for prevention of tracking, aside from your phone. In fact, I sell the two products that actually does the most work as far as hiding your location. And number one is the Google phone, which stops the Wi-Fi scanning, which is the big part of the location tracking. And the second part is the VPN. And what the VPN does is prevents somebody from having a reverse IP lookup. So believe it or not, just those two, the VPN and the Google phone, does a lot. I'm going to say it covers 80% of the location tracking, as long as you take the precautions of using the right apps and permissions and such. And there's things that we cannot cover no matter what the technology is because it's based on facial recognition. That kind of stuff is really, really, really hard. So if I'm going to say, is there a better device to actually stop even more location tracking, including tracking of MAC addresses and so on? Yes, and the best solution would have been the Linux phone. And I've talked to you about Linux phones in videos from last year. The problem is the Linux phones have not really been operational yet. It's kind of frustrating that, you know, a year later and they're still not completely running, and it's kind of frustrating that, you know, you still don't get the full battery life, and there's still many issues with them, and it's, you know, it's going to take a while at this rate because these people are not paid. They're doing it as volunteers, and they're going to do it what, you know, based on the time that they could spend. Nobody can push the agenda of saying, oh, update the drivers. You know, they don't have much power to push some of that. And the driver problem is the big one. In fact, the camera just started working. Purism just got the camera working recently, and that change, I'm sure, aided the Pine phone and other people selling Linux phones. So it's a problem. I wish the Linux phones were better, because if with a Linux phone, you can actually stop not just the Wi-Fi scanning on the Google, which will work. You can stop the MAC address, the Bluetooth announcements, you know, and the MAC address announcements. You can turn that off with a hardware switch. And we don't have hardware switches on any sucking Android. That's the main problem. I've always been a big supporter of the Linux phones, but I can't recommend them to you if they're not ready. And the other thing is, somebody says that everything I talk about is stuff I sell so I can make money off you guys. And the fact of the matter is, I don't sell Linux phones. It's not something I sell. So I don't gain from telling you about the advantage of Linux phones. It's really, really a good solution. The problem is, it's also not that usable at the moment. There are problems with not having apps. And, you know, I was using Ubuntu Touch for a long time. You cannot run Ubuntu Touch in the US anymore because the Nexus 5 is not supported by any carrier anymore. So I got zucked. So I don't have any more Nexus 5s. I can't install Ubuntu Touch on any US phone model at the moment, and I wanted to, and I was such a big supporter of Ubuntu Touch, but you know, the only one I will work on is the Pine phone, and the Pine phone is not completely running yet. So yes, James Eagle. So what are all these trolls? I'm not seeing the troll comments here. Maybe I'm not paying attention, but there are several moderators here who can kick out anyone who's trolling. Please, moderators, if you see any trolls, just take them out. Don't worry about, you know, being hard-handed about it. Just take it out. If they're here to disrupt, just take them out. This is YouTube. It's a little bit different here. The last stage will be government mandating implanting every citizen with a tracking chip. They don't have to do that. They're already doing it. Your phone is already your tracking device. Fortunately, some small percentage of us will be willing to not go with a phone. Guys, it's really simple. Really simple. There are ultralight computers. By the way, for some of you that, you know, want a very small device, I was just at Best Buy just a moment ago. So at Best Buy, they're selling this Microsoft Go 2, Surface Go 2. So somebody's going to say, oh my gosh, Microsoft. Forget that. Microsoft is just really bad at spying, to be honest with you. They're really bad at spying. You can turn off all the spying on Microsoft. So when you turn off the spying on Microsoft, which I told you about in another video of how to do that, removing the Microsoft spyware, the Microsoft Surface Go is a tiny little computer. It's only this big. It's so tiny. I mean, it's fairly portable. It's like a, you know, like a big phone. It's really tiny. and it doesn't have the same sensors as a phone, so therefore it can't really track you in the same way. It doesn't track you in the same way. I don't care if you say it's Microsoft. Who fucking cares if it's Microsoft or not? If it works. I mean, I'd rather have it to be Linux, but we don't have portable tablet devices running Linux. If you do that, then a lot of the tracking can't run because they don't have the sensors to do it. When there's no sensors, it doesn't work. Hey, John, you can't say that here. You know, they'll ban you quickly. Sort of alphabet. Sort of a phablet. Yeah. So some people don't understand when I recommend a Microsoft Surface, but the thing is, you have to understand why I'm saying that. And some of you are actually feel insulted I would even talk about anything Microsoft. No internet at all. So I'm like stuck. So I hope it recovers now and you guys see the broadcast. I'm broadcasting, but I don't see any comments yet. So it just paused. So this is like really such a bad signal. So sorry about that, guys. I still don't see any comments, so hopefully it'll show up. Let me do a refresh here to see if it'll reconnect. But that was just unexpected. Let me see if they can see the comments again. Okay, there we go. Really bad. Yeah, let's see the comments again. So anyway, no, this has nothing to do with like jamming or anything like that. It's just Spectrum. It's been like this for the last 2 weeks. Like really bad in the last week. Really bad. So I'm gonna have to get them to service it. Maybe there's some bad wiring or corrosion. You know, I'm by the ocean, so there could be corrosion in the wiring. I wouldn't take a free Spectrum keychain. You know what I need to do, guys? This kind of justifies getting Starlink. I'm gonna have to. This is so frustrating. I gotta sign up with Starlink now. I gotta sign up with Starlink. Check that out and see how that works. So we can spy on Starlink and see. Yep. Right after this broadcast, I'm gonna sign up with zucking Starlink. Because this is just too much. Zucked up. So, yes. So, yeah, I can't rely on Spectrum here. We're gonna do Starlink. So, some of you are like saying, but it's Elon Musk. You don't like Elon Musk. Don't really care. You know, Elon Musk is fine. He doesn't appear to be spying on me. So yeah. You know, so there are like targets in the, among the billionaires, people who are obviously trying to take advantage of us by spying on us. And I really haven't found Elon Musk to be one of those guys. So because of that, I'm starting to really like him. He's not one of those. I mean, he's kind of open. He kind of says what he thinks, but he's not driven by the spying like obviously Zuckerberg and the Google billionaires and all those guys. But Peter Thiel, running Palantir, another billionaire. That Peter Thiel is actually Elon Musk's partner on PayPal. So, but Elon Musk did not invest in Palantir, which is the spy company. So Palantir is run by Peter Thiel, who was Elon Musk's partner, and he didn't go that direction. So he is one of those guys. He is. I haven't really found any evidence of it so far. I am trustless, but I look for evidence as well. So if I see somebody doing something, then I'm going to tell you. But so far, he's not. He's not. So far, not doing anything that I would say is in the category of Zuckerberg and Peter Thiel and those guys that really spend their money to spy on you. That is their business. They're all in the club. It could be, It's possible. Tim Cook. Yeah, could be. You used to trust. It's good not to trust. It's actually a good idea to not be trusting of anything. But on the other hand, if I don't see any evidence of a problem, I'm not going to go call them out and call them names when I don't know anything. So far, the way, for example, a Tesla works, it's not the same thing as the way a Google Waymo works. So it's for example, a Tesla is kind of independent. It's like a robot by itself. It's not a robot controlled by the central authority. It doesn't work like that. So that's good. They're all liars. They could be. They could be. But so far, I'm just saying that among all of them, it's not one where I found evidence of it. Checked out Starlink, and it's expensive, geofence restricted, and slower than you think. Chad, I just didn't have a signal a moment ago. So slower, I think it goes up to 50 to 100 megabits per second, which is actually good enough. That's good enough. With Spectrum here, I can't even tell you that I'm getting a signal. So I could have a dual system here, run Spectrum and Starlink, and see which one is better. I can do that. So yeah, and Starlink is supported here. I wish Starlink could be put on a boat, but you can't because it works by geofencing, as somebody said. Could you mod out the yeah, is there any moderator can please strike out any comments that appear to be trolling? Just set up a Brax router today. Okay, Jazz, thank you. Surveillance capitalism is the new normal. They have parted with Google. They have parted with Google for Starlink. Partnered or partnered? Partnered or not? If they partner, then I'm going to be worried. Does Starlink work anywhere in the world? No. Their satellites work in certain geolocations based on where the satellite is located. I happen to be in an area, Los Angeles, that is supported by Starlink, so I can do that. By the way, before I forget, and I'm losing the signal, I haven't mentioned this. Guys, I have two different channels. I have two channels that you might be interested in. My other channel is a sailing channel, and it's actually called the Rob's Off-Grid Sailing Vessel Project. So yes, it is sailing, but the boat is being configured to be off-grid. So one of the things in fact, I was working on it today, was putting solar on it. So I'm putting a solar configuration on my boat so that it can run off-grid without being plugged in. So I'm making a video of that. So that'll be on my channel. It's on the description. It's called Rob's Off-Grid Sailing Vessel Project. If you search that, Rob's Off-Grid Sailing Vessel Project, and that's of course me. Then I have another channel, which is the Rob Braxman Jazz channel, where I play piano. So if you are into music and want to see me play piano, that's on the Rob Braxman Jazz channel, which apparently is not that popular because people don't like to listen to me playing piano. So, but that does exist. But the sailing channel, I'm going to be putting a lot of content on a lot of these because it's stuff that I'm always doing, and I just have to record videos. And I already have videos of recordings that I haven't posted on the Jazz channel side. Oh, what is the longest time you have been out on the boat? On this boat or any boat? I have done 2-day races. That's about the max I've been in. I don't really do offshore, like cross ocean stuff. 2-day races. Of course, it's a race, so it's pretty intense. It's not like cruising, but I've done a lot of that. 1 to 2 day overnight races. I've done a lot of those. So I haven't been racing lately. I'm sure that Starlink have partnered with Google in what next week video. I don't know if Google what Starlink has to do with Google, but it's just internet. I've been out for 14 weeks. You've been like out on 14 weeks. That takes you quite a bit. That's halfway crossing the Atlantic there. So, yeah, that's a long time. 14 weeks. Did you say, not days, weeks. Oh my gosh. 14 weeks. That's a long ways. That's a long way. Unfortunately, I don't have a time for that. I can't like take that kind of time. I would. Would you sail to Hawaii? I have not done so because it takes a while. It takes 2 weeks to get to Hawaii, and then you got to get back, so that you have to take a month off. I've never had that kind of vacation time ever. So I wish you'd read all the comments in order. I can't because there's too many comments. I work on a subsea robots and construction. Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. That would be a cool job. Now, I really love ocean stuff, so I really love to do all that. But I really love to sail. I'm in the water all the time. I sail a couple times a week, and I'm always on the boat. As my boat is my office, so I'll make a video about that, showing you my office. So that's my pandemic office. Is the boat. I'll give you a little tour of the pandemic office, because it's really crowded in my house, and it's really hard to work here now. So instead of a office, I got the boat as an office. You take America, what are you talking about? Whatever, freedom forever. Wow, I didn't understand any of that. Subscribe to Off-Grid Sailing Channel. Thank you, Christine. So yes, so subscribe to that. And the next video will be when I do the solar, which it actually works. So and I did a little bit different setup from what most people in sailing channels do, and I'll explain why it was a little bit different. But it's a good solution, because mostly I'm not off grid. I'm plugged into shore power. So I'm going to put a water maker in there. Even though I'm plugged into shore power, I can get water. But it's kind of nice to be ready. You can actually be ready and have a boat that can actually survive. A sailboat does not need fuel. If it runs out of diesel, it can still run if it has solar and it has a water maker. So you can actually survive indefinitely on a sailboat as long as you have parts. The parts is the problem. But it's a newer boat, so it's okay. What about them Tic Tac UAPSI? Whatever that means. I don't know what that is. Put a boiler maker in there for Adult Beverage Friday. Could powerful government still find you if you were off grid, off an island? Seems like that's all still possible. Yeah, but it's called mass surveillance. If somebody is on active surveillance, somebody's trying to find you, yes, they will find you. But if you're on looking for passive surveillance, no. So no, it's not for passive surveillance. It's not going to be an issue. Something happened to my camera there. It just kind of failed all of a sudden. Don't know why. Oh, I guess it was recording the broadcast, which I didn't want to do. Skip the jackpot into the ocean when the San Andreas fault makes tsunamis. Boat is an asset. Yes. Actually, if there's a tsunami, all you have to do is go offshore if the tsunami is coming at you. But if you're the source of the earthquake, the tsunami is not going to happen. It's going to go outwards. So, yeah. So you don't get a tsunami if the earthquake is where you are. The tsunami has to come from an external source. So I see you, you see me too. Yo, they found Linode. What? Okay, just all out of context here. I have to pick the comments that make sense. Because some of you are just trolling here. So make sure, okay. So, yeah. So anyway, follow those channels if you're interested in what I do on the side, and maybe some of you are just interested in what I do, in other areas that aside from tech. Yes, I'm obviously into tech in a big way, but I also like tech on a boat, and I've been boating for a very, very long time. So I'm a fairly experienced yachtsman, or what's the term? I'm pretty salty, as they say. That's the word, salty. So I'm pretty salty. So I'm fairly experienced, and I've been out there in pretty tough conditions. Perhaps not like long term, like crossing an ocean, but I've been in some tough conditions myself. So yeah, so go watch that channel, and you can see what I'm up to. Because some of you are like saying, "Oh, are you in an RV?" No, I am not. I am not in an RV. What about my sponsor, Linode? Oh, yes, Jay. What did you say about my sponsor, Linode? Um, yeah, so salty. And then, of course, I'm a musician. I'm a semi-pro musician, so I play out there and get paid to play. So I have a band, semi-pro. I'm not pro. Just enough to hang, as they say. I can hang. So not. I'm not pro because I haven't had time. So I live in a van by the river. So no, I do not live in a van. So you can see my videos. I mean my latest videos, and it's not a van. If you look closely, you can see water ripples out the window. So bring your what? Bring your boyfriend on. What the zuck does that mean? I don't have any zucking boyfriend. You sing. Christine sings. YouTube algos don't fool the music ear. Are you live streaming from the RV? I'm not in any RV, so rule number one, I am not in an RV. So you can recognize from the videos if I'm on the boat because you can see the water in the background. Are Comcast hotspots safe to use? No, you got to use a VPN. Been on American Idol. Whoa, really? Wow, Christine, that's amazing. That's amazing. Any updates on your take on Pine 64 phones? So Pine, the Pine phones. I have a Pine phone, and I even upgraded the motherboard. I haven't really, fiddled with it since I got the motherboard. In fact, I haven't even installed a new motherboard, and I'm willing to do all that because the software's not 100%. I don't want to spend so much time figuring it out and then learning that it doesn't work. Because one of the things that still bugged me was the power saving. I don't even care if the camera doesn't work, but it has to last enough hours. It can't last 6 hours. So you live by the beach, do a live. On the beach? No internet. No, not enough internet. Cowboy Bebop. Is your boat diesel, electric, or is it an outboard? My boat is diesel. My outboard is electric. My boat is powered, on the next video at least. By the time the next video is up, it will have solar in it, so it will supplement the diesel. So I have enough diesel to go get to Mexico. Yeah, the boat has enough. I can get to Mexico and back. I could probably get to Mexico and back just on diesel alone. But yeah, but the way the boat is set up, it's you actually don't have to run the diesel, and you don't have to run the power to use it as a generator because I have sufficient solar. So it's solar, and in the future when I add a water maker, then you're actually pretty independent as long as you have food. you will survive. Are we ever going to get our Librem 5s? Hell no, Brad Pittless. Zoc. That company, I mean, had such good things to say about them, and they're like ruined their reputation so badly. So what am I going to do with Librem 5 when I get it? No, I'm not going to get a refund. I will wait for it and get it. Yeah, I paid for it, 700 some bucks. Nothing to show for it. They can hold it longer. I just want to make sure it works. By the time we get it, it'll be a very slow device, if we get it next year. So check out Escape to Mexico Insane. I probably don't want to escape to Mexico, but you can go to, Central California. There's actually places in California that have no one in there, believe it or not. There, you can, if you go across, across the coast, not across, but up the coast to between North and Southern California, in between, there's actually nothing there. There's not even any internet. Fairphone any good? I mean, Fairphone is a EU phone, so I don't really have access to that. It's the same with the Sailfish OS, which, from what I hear, people have good things to say about it, but it's not accessible to me in the US, so I can't really say anything because I don't have one. How did Purism ruin their reputation? How did Purism ruin their reputation? They we still don't, my order is over 2 years old. I still don't have a Librem 5. And even if you did get one, it wouldn't be running. And they don't communicate this. So are you live on library as well? No, I'm only live on one platform. Do you have a satellite phone? No. I try to avoid having any kind of phone. So, yeah. Aloha from Hawaii, Greg Lopez. Hello. Greg Lopez, is that our friend Greg Lopez from Periscope? Is that the Greg that we're talking about here? My goodness, all these people from Periscope have disappeared. They need a home. They need a home. So they're wandering around the internet looking for a home. Are you VAR though? Why is PayPal death? I use PayPal. Yes, sir, from Periscope. Greg Lopez from Periscope. Oh my gosh. I had to think. Greg Lopez, because, I actually never really thought about your last name, Greg. Never thought about your last name. So it's I forgot your Periscope name now. I haven't been on Periscope, for so long. I haven't been from Periscope for so long. I forgot your actual name on Periscope now. I only know you from your real name. I forgot the Periscope name. It's funny. So yes, Greg. So I departed Periscope so far ahead of the shutdown of Periscope. So I'm happy to say that I'm thriving here on YouTube. So, and yeah, I'm getting actually more viewers here on YouTube than even I was getting on Periscope live. So yeah, so it's kind of amazing. So anyway, follow that channel. Yeah, it's Haps. Yeah, I'm not on that. So go follow my other channels on YouTube, and so if you're interested in some of the other things that I do. And like I said, I'm gonna be equipping my boat to be power independent, and on a boat you can easily do that. And if you have a tiny home, you can do the same thing. So it doesn't have to be a boat, same kind of setup, and it's actually easy to do. So can you get Linux on P45 Pro Huawei? No. Don't forget to like. Yes, thank you if you hit like. Best phones to send you to Rfid and apply your security magic. Greg Lopez is one of the broadcasters from Periscope app, where I came from before I was on YouTube. I've only been on YouTube for 2 years. For 5 years before that, I was on Periscope, and I had how many followers did I have on Periscope? Not that many, 30,000. So, and I used to broadcast live stream every night. Gulag's YouTube is a monster. What? Gulag's YouTube is a monster. YouTube is awesome. No, Greg. YouTube is not awesome. You know, it's I'm at their mercy. They can shut me down anytime they want. So it's uncomfortable because because of my topics, I could be shut down, and but it's not in their policy to shut down somebody who criticizes the platform. It's not on their policy, so therefore they have no real excuse to do it to me, since it's not. But they may change their policy. You can say anybody who criticizes Google and YouTube will be out. They could do that, and then I'll be out. So yeah, so it's kind of scary, So go to alternative platforms. I am on Odyssey. You already know that. So I go to alternative platforms, and John Doe. With all these shutdowns here on Sprint, on Spectrum, I am definitely going to sign up for Starlink tonight. This is a pain. I don't need this. This is so, why do I need to get disrupted like this? It's like constant. It's awful. So yeah, I'm going to sign up with Starlink, because I can't handle this. I mean, I'm here in a big city, and I have to worry about dropping signals constantly here. How do you feel about the sentient AI on the internet that they aren't talking about on MSM? They can get to that point that I don't know if you can use the term sentient, but they're going to get to that point. It's part of what is called the what is the term? The Kurzweil's term, singularity. So when the singularity happens, they will be smarter than people. I don't think they'll be sentient, but they will be smarter than people. So they could actually probably run independently, and they are in fact, be the equivalent of Skynet. And it's a true threat. It's not theoretical. We're not there yet, though. We're not there yet. So if you feel like, what are they hiding from you? We're not there yet. But Google claims it'll be here all between 2030 and 2040. Well, 2030 is not that far away. That's only 9 years away. So it could be, they could have some beginnings of this in as little as, a decade. And that is really scary. That is really scary when you think about it. You don't know that. Well, when do we get there? We must protect anyone named John Connor at all costs. I am John Connor. But a buff naked Schwarzenegger isn't saving us. Do you think these AIs will be used in judicial system, and how will it affect things when it comes to essential rights? I'm telling you right now, we're getting tickets already using AI, so it's already affecting the judicial system. I already told you that traffic tickets are being given out based on an AI with facial recognition. It's already happening to a small extent. How long do we have before indexing is effective? How long do we have before indexing? You mean indexing in the way we're talking about? Well, with some of the stuff that I'm talking about, a minority will be safe. The problem is the majority will not be safe, since no one's taking any action. So, yeah. So what is indexing? I think Mysticulous was talking about when, somebody truly knows everything location-wise, and basically a very precise profile of each person in the world. And there's already a pretty significant profile of a large proportion of the population, and that's really what's sad. Because what about us? Those of you who follow me, you're going to be the ones that don't have a big profile, and are we going to be considered to be outliers? And they're going to say, "Oh, you're weird. You must be Amish." Are we going to be treated like Amish people? Luddites. We're going to be considered Luddites. So Luddites were, if you don't know your history, in England back in the old days, in 1700s, the group of people that didn't want the industrial age were the Luddites. They didn't want to use the yarn, what do you call that? The machines. They didn't want to use machines and railroads. They didn't want to do that. They want to stick to the old way of farming and old way of making clothes and making cloth. And so they were part of a religious group called Luddites. And that's that's kind of similar to the way the Amish are considered. They don't like technology. So when somebody says, "Are you a Luddite?" it's basically saying, you are kind of like Amish or anti-tech. I am not a Luddite. I have a lot of tech, and my boat is very techy. I've got a lot of everything technical. I got tons of computers, probably more computers than you guys. I just know when to disconnect it. I just know when I need to rely on my computers rather than somebody else's computers. And that's the big difference. My computers versus their computers. That's why I say, choose your computing devices. Even a Microsoft Surface Go is actually okay versus a sucking iOS phone or Android phone. The Google phone is fine. But instead of all that, having a device that doesn't have sensors, the sensors on some of these computers are very, very limited. They really don't have much, and they can't collect it because they never set up the infrastructure for it. The spying infrastructure of Microsoft is abysmal. Most of the spying is done by Cortana. To turn Cortana off, and a lot of the spying can't even occur. A lot of the spying is from Microsoft ID. I don't even use Microsoft ID on your phone. Show us your phone. My phone is a de-Googled phone right here, which is running. Yeah, there's my phone. I'm running a de-Googled phone. This is a Pixel 4. Okay, Pixel 4, de-Googled. No Google on it whatsoever. So, yeah, so get one of these. So, anyway, I'm out of time. I just want to, before I leave, I just want to tell you about a scheduling issue, which I should have said at the beginning. I'm sorry about that. I have a lot of conflicts in the next few weeks on Friday nights, including vacation. I have a lot of conflicts, vacations, family stuff. So it's going to be a problem doing Friday nights in June every week. So I'm going to move it. So I don't want you to lose out. I am not going to cut out any live stream. I'm just going to move it to either Saturday or Sunday as needed. So we'll do, instead of Friday, if I'm out of town or doing something, I'll move it to Saturday or Sunday depending on the week. So next week will be Friday. That's clear. Let me see. Thinking about it here. Then 2 weeks from now, no, that cannot be Friday. That has to be Saturday. And then the week after that, I'm on vacation, so that may be Sunday. Or, well, I can't do it Thursday because I release my videos on Thursday, so there'll be 2 videos. So, but yeah. So I'll Saturday night, please. It's not that simple. It's whatever I'm able to do. So instead of dropping the live stream, I will just move the date into one of those, and I might leave a comment. I'll leave a comment on Braxby for sure. So if you want to ask when I'm going to be on, go to Braxme, and I'll tell you when I'm going to be on. Okay, but next week it's the same schedule. So next week it will be Friday. The following week it's going to be Saturday. The following week it may be Sunday. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I can do Saturday too, but I don't know because I'm going to get home a little later that day. I may be too tired. Okay, so thank you for watching, guys, and leave comments and suggestions on what you want me to cover, especially on location. So I do this to get feedback from you, so I know that I'm directing my broadcast in the right direction. So thank you very much, and I'll see you. Yeah, so video schedule is always Thursday. That doesn't change. And those videos are done ahead of time. So even if I'm not in town, they will get released on Thursday morning. So that's pretty much fixed. It's the live stream that's kind of flexible. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a video next Thursday. Good night. Bye-bye.